Hello, internets! In this tutorial, we'll show you how to get an Elide instance up and running using Dropwizard. We'll be making an endpoint that enables you to create and view users and posts. We'll be using IntelliJ for our development. So, let's start by creating a new project. So we'll be creating a new Maven project, next, and our group ID will be io.elide.example. And our artifact ID will be Dropwizard Elide example. Next, Dropwizard Elide example. Finish. So we'll start by clicking Enable Auto Import, and then we need to add our dependencies to our POM file. So the first dependency we need is Dropwizard. So Dropwizard dependency Dropwizard core, and the group ID is io.dropwizard. We'll be using the latest version as of April 2016, which is 0.9.2, so 0.9.2. So we have Dropwizard core. We also need Dropwizard DB. Next, we need to add our Elide dependency. And the Elide dependency is Dropwizard Elide. And this is going to be in the group ID com.yahoo.elide. And the version we're going to use is the release version. Lastly, we're going to need our MySQL dependency. So this will be dependency MySQL connector Java, and the latest version 5.1.38. Let's create our configuration YAML. So we'll open up source main resources, new file, example.yml. So our example.yaml needs to describe our connection to the database. So I've already started up a MySQL instance and created a database called Elide. And the username is Elide and the password is Elide123. So let's create the configuration that we're going to need for the database. So we'll say database driver class, and here we specify the JDBC driver for MySQL. So that's com.mysql.jdbc driver. And now we need to specify the JDBC URL. So that's URL jdbc://localhost 3306 Elide. The username is Elide. The password is Elide123. Now we have some additional Hibernate properties necessary in order for Hibernate to function. So properties, hibernate.current session context class is thread, and hibernate.hbm2ddl.auto is create. What this basically means is that Hibernate will automatically create the tables for our models. So now let's create the package that will contain our source. New package io.elide.example. And let's create our configuration class. New Java class Dropwizard Elide configuration. Okay, so our Dropwizard Elide configuration extends configuration. Dropwizard instantiates this object and reads the configuration from the example YAML file. So here we need to create our data source factory. And we need some getters and setters. We also need to specify a JSON property here. JSON property. And we say that this is database. And we need this both on the getter and the setter. This JSON property refers to the database section in our example YAML file. Now let's create our application file. So we go new Java class Dropwizard Elide application. And this extends application of type Dropwizard Elide configuration. Let's let IntelliJ implement the appropriate methods. And let's create our main file. In our main file, we basically create a new Dropwizard application, and we call run with the arguments. So this will throw an exception, add the exception to the method. Now let's run the program to see the help message. Run. So here we can see that the Dropwizard command requires that we pass it some positional arguments. We need to pass it the server, and we also need to pass it our example config file. So we'll go up here, edit configuration, and our program arguments are server and source main resources example.yml. Okay, save that and we can run it again. This time our application should start up, and here it's listening on port 8080. Great, let's stop our program and create our models now. Stop and create a new package model. And we will create our first model, which is the user model. So the user model will basically be used to represent authors of posts. The user is an entity, and it has an ID, as well as a name, and an email address. Now let's create getters and setters for everything. So now we want the ID to be the primary key of this entity. So we'll just say ID, and we'll say generated value is of type identity. Now let's create our post model. New Java class, post. And so the post will be an entity that represents our posts. So it will have a long ID as well, but it will also refer back to the user as an author. It will have a title and content. Let's create the getters and setters and the ID field. Now, the author refers back to a user field and has a one-to-one relationship. So we'll say one-to-one. Now, while we're at it, let's also enable the authors to access the set of posts. So here we need to add a private collection of type post, posts equals new array list. And we'll add getters and setters. And this will have a one-to-many relationship mapped by the author field from post. So now we've created our models. In order for these models to be exposed through Elide, we need to tell Elide how to expose them. And so we use the @include annotation from Elide to do that. Here, we would like our post to be included at the root level, meaning to say that we should be able to access all posts by doing the host name / posts. So here we say root level is equal to true. We should also do this for our user model. So let's do that here. Great. So now that we've created our models and set how they should be exposed, we need to now register these models with the Elide bundle. So we go back to our Dropwizard Elide application, and we create private final Elide bundle of type Dropwizard Elide configuration called Elide bundle. And let's create a constructor. And our constructor will basically create the Elide bundle. So here we need to return the database configuration. Return Dropwizard Elide configuration.getDatabase. And in here, we need to pass our models. So we'll say post.class and user.class. Great. So now we need to add our bundle to the bootstrap. So we will initialize and we'll say bootstrap.addBundle Elide bundle. And last but not least, we need to register our JSON API endpoint with Jersey. So we'll say environment.jersey.register our JSON API endpoint. Great. Let's launch our application. Nice. So it started and is listening on port 8080. Now, if you scroll back, you'll notice that the JSON API endpoint is now registered to receive GET, patch, post, and delete requests to /*. So let's test out our endpoint. We'll open up Postman, and let's get the current set of users. So that comes back empty because we haven't created any users. We also shouldn't have any posts. Nice. So let's create our first user. We're going to create the user Shad. So here we're going to post to our host /user, and we're going to post the data name, Shad Sharma, email, shadanand@gmail.com. So we'll send that, And so now user Shad Sharma has been created. Now let's create the user Yao. So here we're going to post to the same URL, user, but now we're going to set a different name and email. Send. And now we have a different user created. So now if we get users, we should get both Shad and Yao. Now we can also use JSON API to just get the name and email. To do that, we send a GET request to the host/user, and we pass in fields user equals name and email. Send that, and now we get back just the name and email. Now let's create a post for Shad. So the post will be sent to the endpoint /user1, this is Shad, and we're going to post to his posts. And what we're going to post is that Elide is amazing, and the content will be, you should use Elide if you want to build great APIs. So we send that, and we get back our post. Now let's let Yao also create a post. So he's going to post to /user/2/posts, and he's going to say, Elide, simplify your CRUD, and the content will be, using Elide enables you to quickly stand up a JSON API web service. So we send that, and we get back a second post that was created. So to get posts, we send a GET request to the host/post. So we send that request, and we get back all of the posts. And here we can see their relationships to their users. So post 1's author is user 1, and post 2's author is user 2. We can get just Shad's post by sending a GET request to /user/1/posts. This is user 1's posts, and we get back just Shad's posts. Let's get just the post's title and content. So here we're going to send a GET request to /post and ask for just the title and content fields of post. So we send that, and we'll get back just content and title. Lastly, let's delete Shad's post. So here we will send a delete method to /user/1/posts/1. So this will delete user 1's post number 1. So we'll send that, and we get back a 204, which is an empty response. So now let's go to get posts and send a request there. Now there is only one post left in the system, the one written by Yao. And if we get Shad's post, we'll see that it's empty. Great. So there you have it. In this tutorial, we managed to stand up and play with a JSON API endpoint using Elide. We hope you had fun. Join us on Gitter and let us know what you think. If you have problems, post them to our Git issues page. Thanks for watching.